Julian Edelman is joining us. We figured we'd wrap up this week with a former Patriot great, all with New England, because it was a pretty rough loss. And it's funny, the Super Bowls you were in, it was a fascinating dynasty because it was win close, lose close, win games you were not favored, lose a game to Philadelphia where you didn't punt. I want to start with this. Going into the Super Bowl, I said the only thing I know for sure, New England will not run the football particularly well. I don't think it's a good matchup for the O-line. That I felt. And I also said that means Drake May is going to throw 35 times or more. That's not great. He's 1-7. I was surprised that on their first drive, they did swing passes. I thought they should have used the tight ends more. I like Hunter Henry. I didn't think it was one of Josh McDaniels' great game plans, although I think whoever won Seattle or the Rams was the better team and would have won the Super Bowl. When you looked at the game plan, what was your initial reaction to the play calling and the design?
I initially thought that they never got comfortable and they had to probably pivot from what they wanted to do. I mean, you look in the first half, I think they had their best drive on the first drive where they had 8 plays. They got a few first downs. Second couple drives, I think they go 3 and out with negative runs. So they can never get in a rhythm. Like, we never saw jumbos, big people on the field. We didn't see empties. We didn't see a no huddle. And those are kind of things that we used to do when we were struggling with the pass rush. I ultimately think, they just got outcoached and outplayed. And Seattle, I mean, they were only rushing 4 and they were creating so much havoc that they believed that their guys were good enough to not even have to bring a blitz, even though they brought Witherspoon a few times, which was a new look, and they could go out and win. And, it was a remarkable job by that defense. Josh, I feel like he may have got knocked off that game plan, and rightfully so. The young quarterback, Drake May, hadn't been playing particularly well, seemed to be maybe a little banged up in that shoulder, seemed to be very uncomfortable all game, and you got to take this with a grain of salt. This team overachieved. This team had 4 wins last year. They come in and go 14-3, go to the Super Bowl. The NFL is not Disney movies, so it's a sad day in New England.
What would you add? I feel like they need another tight end. I think they got to throw some resources at the offensive line. I think their defense is pretty good. I've said I would consider getting a Max Crosby off the edge. I like their interior D lineman a lot, but I feel like they need another difference maker on the D line, like one more layer. Maybe they can get that in the draft. But when you look at this team, going back to your Patriot games, it wasn't always the most talent. It was the talent in the right spots that you guys were always great at. What are the things, in your opinion, New England needs to address?
I still think they're trying to figure that out through the self-scout that they're going to do this complete offseason. I mean, this is a young football team.
Yeah.
You can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with offensive linemen. I personally think Will Campbell got baptized, but you also got to remember he was out for a month and a half. His first game back's in the playoffs. He's going against legendary defensive lines each week, and this guy's a rookie. He was playing in college last year. Undersized guy. And he gives me the comp of kind of like a Matt Light. Matt Light was not the biggest guy, but he was one of the most productive linemen I ever played with, the technician freak. And so I think he's going to get better with his technique as time goes on. He's a rookie. You can never go wrong with linemen. They definitely could use another playmaker, but they also have a young group of receivers that played pretty well together. And, I think that helps for the developmental of Drake May when you don't have this younger receiver. I think he'll be ready for, a big time receiver, maybe this year, maybe the next year, because now he knows where to go with the open ball. So I think you got to get him protected. I think you maybe get him a playmaker. And then, I agree. Maybe someone on the edge. Barmore and Williams are elite in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
If you could get someone on the outside, that would change this defense to a whole nother level, because they got guys on the back end. The 2 Cal Berkeley safeties played outrageous. They got Davis and, Gonzo on the outside. They got playmakers at all levels. So if they could get a pass rusher, you can never have too many pass rushers at the edge. So, they have $41 million this offseason to spend. You still got Drake on that young quarterback deal. I anticipate they're gonna be a better team next year. They may not have a better record, but I think they'll be a better team because even though they lost this game in the Super Bowl, they gained so much human capital going through this experience of the playoffs. They got to rattle off wins in Denver, which, we could never do. A lot of people can't do. That's an incredible place to get a win. And even though it wasn't pretty, there's great football players, good football players through every experience, whether good or bad. They use those experiences and they put them on their tool belts. They learn from those bad things and they put those good things on their belts. So I think they're going to be in a good shape to be a good football team next year.
Tom Brady's the best quarterback that's ever played. He never, in all the Super Bowls, I don't remember ever having a robust offensive first quarter. He threw for under 200 yards early on and late in his career in the Super Bowl. He had a pick six in the Super Bowl. It's hard to play flawless because you're playing really good teams and really good coaches. People have looked at Darnold and said, well, he didn't have a turnover during the playoffs, but he wasn't spectacular. And my take is, folks, to not have a turnover when you're an aggressive, athletic quarterback in the NFC, which was the better conference, that is hard. How do you view Darnold? Now, it's easy to say, the reclamation, he's great, but I want you to give me some nuance. How do you view Sam? You've seen the Jets years. You've seen Minnesota. You've seen Carolina. Where are you on Darnold?
He got the monkey up his back to me. In the two biggest games of his life, he played his best football. Yeah. Statistically, in the Super Bowl, may not have been the best, but he didn't turn the ball over. And we all know those demons of Sam Darnold. He likes to throw that thing away. He's been quoted, he sees ghosts. So, it was unreal. It's been really cool to watch his career transform, his mental toughness, being that good football player that takes from good and bad experience. He's done that these last 4 years with Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell. He's just, this is what and he's a likable guy. He's a really cool, likable guy. And anytime you play your best games in the most important games, that's what you are. That's what you are. In the NFC Championship against MVP Stafford, 3 touchdowns, 342 yards. Yeah. Against the Patriots, really good defense. Hey, we know we have them outmanned on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense ain't going to be getting any yards on us. Just all you got to do is steer the ship, buddy. We don't need to do nothing crazy. And that's what he had to do. That's what that team's so great at doing. They play complementary football. They're very similar to the Patriots, where they're not trying to go out and put up accolades on offense and do this, statistics, this. They're doing everything in their possible manner to win the game by 1 point. They just have more explosive players, where you have a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba who could take something and turn it into 80 yards. And so they get those explosion plays. But, this is awesome. And this is why the game of football is awesome. This is why the NFL is undefeated. It's the best reality TV show. It's because you got guys like Sam Darnold, who are on his 5th team, and he comes out and he wins a Super Bowl. It's an unbelievable story. And I'm just so happy for him. He's proved people wrong left and right. He proved me wrong. I bet against him. I thought he'd make at least one mistake. He didn't make them. He was damn close on that first play. It was almost a pick six when Marcus Jones almost undercut it. To have the resiliency, the calm, cool collectedness, to make a couple of the big time throws when guys were in his face in the Super Bowl. I mean, he's a Super Bowl champion now.
Julian Edelman. He's got a podcast called Games with Names, new episodes every Tuesday. We wrapped a bow on it. It's good seeing you as always, buddy. I appreciate it.
Always great to see you.